What if I told you that without a black woman, America never would have put a man on the moon? What if I told you that when NASA bought million-dollar IBM computers to calculate rocket trajectories, the astronauts refused to trust those machines unless one person checked the math first? What if I told you that person was a black woman working in a segregated office, forced to walk half a mile to use a colored bathroom, banned from important meetings, and her name was erased from history for 50 years? February 20th, 1962, Cape Canaveral, Florida. 7:30 in the morning. John Glenn is standing in his silver spacesuit at the base of the Atlas rocket. This is Friendship 7, the mission that will make him the first American to orbit the Earth. The whole world is watching. The Soviet Union put Yuri Gagarin in orbit 10 months ago. America is losing the space race. This flight has to succeed, or the communists win the Cold War. But there is a problem. John Glenn will not get in that rocket. The IBM computers at NASA just finished calculating his orbital trajectory. The launch window, the speed, the angle of re-entry, everything has to be perfect. 1 degree off and Glenn burns up in the atmosphere or floats away into space forever. The engineers say the computers are ready. The numbers are good. Time to launch. Glenn says no. He walks to the phone. He calls NASA Langley Research Center in Hampton, Virginia. He asks for Katherine Johnson, a black woman who works as a human computer in the segregated West Area Computing Division. A woman who is not allowed to put her name on reports. A woman who has to walk 800 meters across the campus to use the colored bathroom. A woman who calculates rocket trajectories with a pencil paper and a slide rule. Glenn says to the NASA engineers, "Get the girl to check the numbers. If she says they are good, then I am ready to go." Think about what that means. In 1962, Jim Crow America, a white astronaut refused to trust white male engineers. He refused to trust million-dollar IBM computers. He trusted a black woman, not because he was being nice, not because he was woke, because he knew her brain was more accurate than the best technology America could build. Katherine Johnson sat down with the computer printouts. She had 6 hours. She calculated every equation by hand: orbital mechanics, differential calculus, parabolic trajectories, re-entry angles. She checked every number the IBM spit out. 6 hours of non-stop mathematics that would make most engineers quit. At 2 in the afternoon, she called back. The numbers are good. John Glenn climbed into Friendship 7. He orbited the Earth 3 times. 4 hours and 55 minutes. He came home a hero. America started winning the space race, and Katherine Johnson's name appeared nowhere in the official records. No credit, no recognition. Just another computer in a segregated office doing calculations that saved a man's life and changed history. For 50 years, her story was buried, hidden, erased. They used her genius to win the Cold War and then acted like she never existed. Until 2016, most of the world had no idea that a black woman put the first American in orbit, that a black woman calculated the trajectory to the moon, that a black woman was the most trusted mathematician in NASA history. Her name is Katherine Coleman Goebel Johnson, born into Jim Crow, orphaned young, became a teacher, then a human computer, then the person astronauts trusted more than machines. She proved that black women were not just capable of advanced mathematics. They were better at it than anyone else, and they erased her from every textbook for half a century because her existence threatened everything white supremacy taught about intelligence and capability, and who deserves credit for American achievement. This is not ancient history. Katherine Johnson died in 2020. 5 years ago. Your children could have met her. Your parents lived through her struggle. Your grandparents watched her work in silence, while white men took credit. This erasure happened in your lifetime. It is still happening. After this video, you will understand why only 7% of STEM workers are black women, even though black women have been doing the hardest mathematics in America for over a century. You will understand why they only told Katherine's story when it was safe when she was 97 years old and could not challenge power structures anymore. You will understand why your daughter was told she is not good at math when her ancestors calculated moon landings. By the end of this video, you will know how a 10-year-old black girl in segregated West Virginia became a college freshman. You will know why astronauts trusted her over computers. You will know how she calculated Apollo 11's path to the moon with nothing but a pencil and paper. You will know why they hid her achievements for 50 years, and you will never see the STEM gap the same way again. This is not just history. This explains why your family was told intelligence is genetic and you did not inherit it. Why your schools pushed you away from advanced math. Why your daughters do not see themselves in science. They did not just erase Katherine Johnson. They erased the proof that black women are geniuses. And that theft cost generations of potential scientists who never pursued their calling because they didn't know someone who looked like them had already done the impossible. This is your history. This affects your life today. This is your stolen inheritance. Let me show you what they took from you. Katherine Coleman was born on August 26, 1918, in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, a tiny town in the Appalachian Mountains. Born on the tail end of the Spanish flu pandemic. Born 53 years after slavery ended. Born into a world that told black children they were inferior and should not bother with education beyond basic literacy. Her father was Joshua Coleman, a farmer, a lumberman, a janitor at the Greenbrier Hotel where rich white people vacationed. He worked 3 jobs to keep the family fed. Her mother was Joylette Coleman. She had been a teacher before marriage. In that era, in that place, married women did not work outside the home. But Joylette never stopped teaching. She taught her children at home every single night. Katherine had 3 siblings. She was the youngest, and from the very beginning she was different. She counted everything. She counted the steps from her house to the road, 74 steps. She counted the steps to church, 218 steps. She counted the dishes she washed, the stars in the sky, the forks and knives in the drawer. Anything that could be counted, she counted. Her mother noticed. Most parents would say, "Stop being strange. Stop obsessing over numbers." Joylette Coleman said, "Keep counting, baby. Keep counting because that mind of yours is a gift from God." By the time Katherine was 5 years old, she could multiply 3-digit numbers in her head. By the time she was 7, she was doing her older siblings' math homework because they could not figure it out, and she thought it was fun. By the time she was 10, she had finished every math book in the colored school. There was nothing left to teach her, and that is where the problem started. West Virginia law in 1928 said black children could only attend school through 8th grade. That was it. No high school for colored children. The state did not believe black children needed education beyond basic reading and arithmetic. After 8th grade, you were expected to work in the fields or clean houses or labor in factories. That was your place. That was the plan. Joshua Coleman looked at his daughter and said, "No, not my child. She is going to high school. She is going to college. I do not care what the law says." There was one option. The town of Institute, West Virginia, had a high school for black students on the campus of West Virginia State College. It was 120 miles away, a 4-hour drive on dirt roads. Most families could not afford to move. Most families could not leave their jobs and farms. Most families accepted that their children's education ended at 8th grade. Joshua Coleman sold everything. He moved the entire family to Institute so Katherine could go to high school. Think about that. A black man in 1928, West Virginia, working 3 jobs to survive, sold his home and moved his family 120 miles so his 10-year-old daughter could keep learning mathematics. That is how much he believed in her. Katherine enrolled in high school at age 10. The other students were 14, 15, 16 years old. She did not care. She sat in the front row and absorbed everything: geometry, trigonometry, algebra. She finished high school in 4 years. At age 14, Katherine Coleman graduated and walked across the stage to receive her diploma, while her father cried in the audience. But she was not done. West Virginia State College was right there on the same campus, a historically black college. Most students enrolled at 18. Katherine enrolled at 14, a child in a college classroom, a child taking calculus and differential equations and French literature and chemistry. The professors did not know what to do with her. They had never seen a mind like hers. One professor, William Waldron Schieffelin Claytor, was one of the first black men in America to earn a PhD in mathematics. He taught her advanced analytic geometry. He created special classes just for Katherine because she finished the regular curriculum too fast. He looked at her and said, "You are going to be a research mathematician, not a teacher. A researcher. You are going to do mathematics that changes the world." In 1937, at age 18, Katherine Coleman graduated from West Virginia State College, summa cum laude, top of her class, double major in mathematics and French. 18 years old with a college degree in the middle of the Great Depression in Jim Crow, West Virginia. A black woman with a mind that could compete with anyone anywhere. But there were no jobs for black women mathematicians. None. In 1937, America, black women could be maids or cooks or teachers or nurses. That was it. Research, mathematics, university positions, corporate jobs. Not for black women. Not ever. So Katherine became a teacher. She taught at a black elementary school in Marion, Virginia. She taught math and French to children who reminded her of herself. Brilliant minds trapped in a system designed to crush them. She was a good teacher. She loved her students. But every day she knew she was capable of more. In 1939, the NOSYSMAP sued to integrate graduate programs at West Virginia University. They won. The court ordered WVU to admit qualified black students. Katherine Coleman applied immediately to the graduate math program. She was accepted. She became one of the first 3 black students to integrate West Virginia University. A historic moment. A barrier broken. She enrolled in 1940. She was the only woman in the graduate math program, the only black person in the entire College of Arts and Sciences. White students would not sit next to her. White professors called on her constantly, trying to catch her making mistakes, trying to prove she did not belong. She never made mistakes. But after 1 year, she left. She had married Jimmy Goebel in 1939. She had her first daughter, Joylette, in 1940. In that era, married women with children did not pursue graduate degrees. The pressure was overwhelming. Choose family or choose career. Katherine chose family. She went back to teaching. She had 2 more daughters, Constance and Katherine. For 13 years, she taught school and raised her children and wondered what could have been. She loved her family. But part of her knew she was made for something more, something bigger. She just did not know what. And then, in 1952, everything changed. Jimmy Goebel got sick, brain tumor, inoperable. He died within months. Katherine was 34 years old, a widow with 3 young daughters. She needed a job that paid more than teaching. She needed stability. She needed a future. In 1953, her sister and brother-in-law told her about a job opening. The National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, NACA, the organization that would later become NASA, was hiring mathematicians at their Langley Memorial Aeronautical Laboratory in Hampton, Virginia. They needed human computers, people who could calculate flight trajectories and aerodynamics by hand, because electronic computers were still experimental and unreliable. And here was the crucial part. They were hiring women. They were even hiring black women. Not because NACA was progressive, not because they believed in equality, because World War II had created a labor shortage, and they were desperate. White men were busy being engineers and pilots. They needed someone to do the grunt work of calculations. Women would do, even black women if they were segregated properly. Katherine applied immediately. She took the civil service exam. She scored perfectly. She was hired in the summer of 1953 as a mathematician at Langley Research Center. Her salary was $2,500 a year. That is about $28,000 today. Double what she made as a teacher. For a widow with 3 children, it was life-changing. She packed up her daughters and moved to Hampton, Virginia. She reported for work at the West Area Computing Section, a segregated office for black women who did calculations. There was a sign on the door, "Colored Computers." The bathroom for black women was in a different building 800 meters away. The cafeteria had a colored section. The office was separated from the white engineers. Black women were not allowed to attend meetings or briefings. They received assignments on paper, did the calculations, and returned the work. No questions, no input, just compute. Most women accepted it. This was 1953 Virginia. Jim Crow was the law. Segregation was normal. You kept your head down, did your work, collected your paycheck, and went home. You did not make waves. You did not challenge the system. You survived. Katherine Johnson did not operate that way. From day one, she asked questions. Why are we calculating this trajectory? What is this data for? What happens if we change this variable? The engineers were shocked. Computers were not supposed to ask questions. Computers were supposed to compute. She did not care. She needed to understand the full picture. She needed to know the why, not just the what. And when she asked questions, the engineers realized she understood the mathematics better than they did. She was not just following formulas. She was thinking critically. She was solving problems they had not even identified yet. Within 2 weeks, Katherine was pulled out of West Area Computing. She was temporarily assigned to the Flight Research Division, the Guidance and Navigation Branch. This was where the real work happened. This was where engineers designed aircraft and calculated flight paths and figured out how to make planes fly faster and higher and safer. Katherine walked into that office, and it was all men, all white men, engineers with degrees from MIT and Caltech and Georgia Tech. They looked at her like she was lost. A black woman in the engineering division. There must be some mistake. There was no mistake. She sat down at the desk they assigned her. She opened the files they gave her, and she started calculating. Gust alleviation for aircraft, how to make planes more stable in turbulent wind, differential equations that most of the engineers struggled with. Katherine solved them in half the time and with twice the accuracy. The temporary assignment became permanent. Katherine Johnson was now working side by side with white male engineers. In 1953, Virginia, in a career that did not officially allow women to be engineers. She was still classified as a computer, still paid less than the men still not allowed to put her name on reports. But she was in the room. She was doing the work, and she was better than almost everyone there. One day there was a meeting, an important briefing about a new project. All the engineers filed into the conference room. Katherine followed them. The men stopped. One of them said, "Women do not attend meetings." Katherine looked at him and asked, "Is there a law that says women cannot attend meetings?" The man stammered. "Well, no, but it has always been this way." Katherine sat down. "If there is no law, then I am staying." She attended the meeting. She listened. She asked questions. She pointed out an error in one of the calculations. She was right. The engineers were stunned. After that, they stopped trying to keep her out. She became the only woman in those meetings, the only black person, the only one who was technically still classified as a computer, but was functionally operating as a senior mathematician. For years, she did not get credit. Her work appeared in reports under the names of white male supervisors. She calculated trajectories and flight paths and navigation systems. The engineers presented the work as theirs. Katherine fumed, but she kept working because she knew the truth. She knew who was doing the real mathematics, and she knew eventually the truth would come out. In 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik, the first artificial satellite in space. America panicked. The Russians were winning the space race. If they controlled space, they controlled the future. The Cold War suddenly got much more urgent. NACA transformed into NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. The mission was clear: get Americans into space before the Soviets dominated the final frontier. NASA needed mathematicians more than ever. They needed people who could calculate orbital mechanics, rocket trajectories, re-entry angles. They needed the best minds in the country, and one of those minds was Katherine Johnson. She was assigned to the Space Task Group, the team responsible for getting Americans into space, Project Mercury. The goal was simple: put a man in a capsule, launch him on a rocket, send him into space, and bring him home alive. The mathematics were anything but simple. In 1961, NASA prepared to launch Alan Shepard into space. Not orbit, just up and down. A suborbital flight. 15 minutes. Just enough to prove America could get a human being into space and back without killing him. It sounds simple. It was not. Katherine Johnson was assigned to calculate the trajectory, the launch angle, the velocity, the arc of the flight, the splashdown location in the Atlantic Ocean. Every variable had to be perfect. Too steep and the G-forces would crush Shepard. Too shallow and the capsule would skip off the atmosphere like a stone on water and disappear into space forever. The re-entry angle had to be exact. 1 degree off and Shepard would burn up or drown. Katherine sat at her desk with pages of equations. She used a mechanical calculator, a slide rule, and her brain. She calculated the trajectory by hand. She checked it. She recalculated it. She verified every number. She handed in her work. The engineers reviewed it. They found no errors. Alan Shepard launched on May 5, 1961. Freedom 7, 15 minutes and 28 seconds. He came down in the Atlantic Ocean exactly where Katherine said he would. America had put a man in space. Katherine Johnson's name appeared nowhere in the public reports. The engineers got credit. The flight director got credit. The astronauts became celebrities. Katherine went back to her desk and started calculating the next mission. But something happened after that flight. The engineers started trusting her, not publicly, not officially, but privately they knew. When Katherine Johnson did the math was right. If there was a discrepancy between her calculations and someone else's, they trusted hers. If a number looked wrong, they asked Katherine to check it. She became the person they turned to when the mission was too important to risk a mistake. And then came the big one. Orbital flight. John Glenn. The mission to make America competitive with the Soviet Union. Yuri Gagarin had orbited the Earth in April 1961. 10 months later, America was finally ready to do the same. But this was exponentially harder than Shepard's suborbital flight. Orbit meant the capsule had to reach 17,500 miles per hour. It had to circle the Earth 3 times. It had to re-enter the atmosphere at the exact angle, or Glenn would die. The calculations were so complex that NASA decided to use the new IBM computers. This was 1962. Electronic computers were still new, still experimental. Engineers did not fully trust them. But NASA management said the future is computers. We need to prove the technology works. So they programmed the IBM to calculate John Glenn's orbital trajectory. The computer ran the numbers. The engineers checked the printouts. Everything looked correct. But John Glenn did not trust it. He had heard about Katherine Johnson. He had heard that when the math absolutely had to be right, you asked the girl in the computer room. So Glenn made a request. He told NASA, get the girl to check the numbers. If she says they are good, then I am ready to go. NASA called Katherine. They handed her the computer printouts. They said, you have 6 hours. Verify these numbers. If there is an error, we need to know now. If the numbers are good, we launch tomorrow. Katherine sat down with the IBM printout and her own notes. She worked backwards through every equation: the orbital insertion burn, the trajectory, the angle of re-entry, the landing zone in the Atlantic, each calculation built on the previous one. One error would cascade into catastrophe. She checked every single number, by hand, with a slide rule and a pencil. 6 hours later, she picked up the phone. The numbers are good. You can launch. February 20th, 1962. John Glenn climbed into Friendship 7. The Atlas rocket ignited. He launched into orbit, 3 times around the Earth, 4 hours and 55 minutes. He came home exactly where Katherine said he would. America erupted in celebration. Ticker tape parades, presidential honors. John Glenn became a national hero. Katherine Johnson went back to work. No parade, no public recognition. Her name was not in the newspapers. It was not in the official NASA reports. It was buried in internal documents that only engineers saw. For the world, John Glenn orbited the Earth because of NASA's brilliant engineers and cutting-edge computers. The truth was, John Glenn orbited the Earth because a black woman checked the math and said it was safe. And here is what you need to understand. This was not charity. This was not Glenn being nice to the black lady. This was survival. Glenn trusted Katherine Johnson more than he trusted the IBM computer because he knew she was better. He trusted her more than he trusted the white male engineers because he knew she was more accurate. In a moment where his life was on the line, he demanded the best. And the best was a black woman working in a segregated office who was not allowed to use the same bathroom as the people she was saving. Think about what that means. In 1962 Jim Crow America, when the stakes were life and death, white men admitted the truth. The black woman is better. They would never say it publicly. They would never put her name on the report. They would never pay her the same salary. But when it mattered, when a man's life hung in the balance, they trusted her brain over their machines. That is the story they do not want you to know. That is the truth they buried for 50 years. Because if people knew that a black woman was the most trusted mathematician at NASA, it would destroy the entire narrative of white intellectual superiority. It would prove that segregation was not about capability. It was about control. It was about keeping black excellence hidden so white mediocrity could take credit. Katherine kept working. She calculated trajectories for more Mercury missions. Then came Project Gemini, 2-man crews, rendezvous in space, docking maneuvers, even more complex mathematics. Katherine worked on all of it. She calculated how to make 2 spacecraft meet in orbit, how to match velocities, how to dock without crashing. She wrote equations that became standard procedures. And then came Apollo, the moon mission. President Kennedy said we are going to the moon before the end of the decade. NASA said we need the best mathematicians in the country. Katherine Johnson was assigned to the team. Going to the moon was not like going to orbit. Orbit meant flying around Earth. The moon meant leaving Earth's gravity, traveling 240,000 miles through space, entering the moon's gravity, landing on the surface, taking off again, flying back to Earth, and re-entering the atmosphere at 25,000 miles per hour without burning up. The math was staggering. Katherine worked on the lunar trajectory, how to get from Earth to the moon. It was not a straight line. Both Earth and the moon were moving. You had to calculate where the moon would be 3 days after launch and aim for that spot. You had to account for Earth's gravity pulling the spacecraft back. You had to calculate the exact moment when the moon's gravity took over. You had to plan for mid-course corrections in case anything went wrong. She worked on the descent trajectory, How to land the lunar module on the moon without crashing. The moon had no atmosphere, so no parachutes. It was all rockets and math. Fire the engines too early, and you run out of fuel and fall. Fire them too late, and you crash. Katherine calculated the exact altitude and velocity where the astronauts needed to start the landing burn. She worked on the ascent trajectory. How to take off from the moon and rendezvous with the command module in lunar orbit. You get one shot. There is no second chance. If you miss the rendezvous, you die on the moon. Katherine calculated the precise launch window and trajectory. She worked on the return trajectory. How to get from the moon back to Earth. How to re-enter Earth's atmosphere at the exact angle. Too steep and you burn up. Too shallow and you skip off the atmosphere into space. The re-entry corridor was less than 1 degree. Katherine calculated it. July the 16th, 1969. Apollo 11 launched. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. 3 days later, the lunar module touched down on the moon. Armstrong stepped onto the surface. That is one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. That step does not happen without Katherine Johnson. The entire mission was built on her mathematics. Every trajectory, every burn, every maneuver. She calculated it, or verified it, or checked it. And when Apollo 11 came home safely, when the whole world celebrated, Katherine's name was nowhere. The astronauts became legends. The flight director became famous. The engineers got awards and promotions. Katherine went back to her desk, still classified as a computer, still paid less than the men, still not allowed to put her name on the reports, still using the colored bathroom. She did not complain. She did not demand recognition. She just kept working because she loved the work, because she knew the truth, because she believed that eventually the truth would come out. In 1970, Apollo 13 launched. You know the story. Houston, we have a problem. An oxygen tank exploded. The mission to the moon became a mission to survive. NASA had to bring 3 astronauts home in a damaged spacecraft with limited power and failing life support. They needed new calculations immediately, new trajectories, new procedures. Everything had to be figured out in real time. Katherine Johnson was part of the team that saved them. She calculated emergency return trajectories, how to use the moon's gravity to slingshot the spacecraft back to Earth, how to conserve power, how to re-enter the atmosphere with damaged systems. Apollo 13 made it home. All 3 astronauts survived. Katherine's math saved their lives. Still no public recognition. Still no credit. Just another day at NASA for the woman who was better than the computers. She kept working. She contributed to the space shuttle program. She worked on Earth observation satellites. She co-authored 26 research papers. 26. Her name finally started appearing on reports in the 1960s after she demanded it. She told her supervisors, "I did the work. My name goes on it." They resisted. She insisted. Eventually, they gave in. Katherine Johnson's name appeared on research papers. Not front-page news, just quiet acknowledgement in technical journals that most people would never read. In 1986, Katherine retired from NASA. 33 years of service, 33 years of calculations that sent astronauts to space and brought them home alive. 33 years of being better than the computers and the engineers. She left quietly. There was a small retirement party, a plaque, a handshake, and then she went home. For decades, almost nobody outside NASA knew who she was. History books did not mention her. Documentaries about the space race did not include her. Students learned about Wernher von Braun and Neil Armstrong and Gene Kranz. They did not learn about Katherine Johnson. She lived in quiet retirement in Virginia. She went to church. She spent time with her family. She watched new generations of astronauts fly missions she had helped make possible. And the world had no idea. But hold on. because what I am about to tell you next will make you angry. Katherine Johnson was not alone. She was not the only black woman genius erased from NASA history. She was one of dozens, maybe hundreds. And the pattern of how they used black brilliance and then buried black names is so systematic, so deliberate, that once you see it, you will never unsee it. Let me introduce you to the other hidden figures. The women who worked alongside Katherine, the women who broke barriers and revolutionized science and saved lives and got nothing. No recognition, no credit, no memory, until it was almost too late. Mary Jackson. Born April 9, 1921 in Hampton, Virginia, graduated from Hampton Institute with degrees in mathematics and physical science. Started at NASA Langley in 1951 as a human computer in the segregated West Area Computing Unit. She was brilliant, sharp mind, sharper tongue. She did not accept limitations. In 1953, an engineer named Kazimierz Czarnecki asked Mary to work with him in the supersonic pressure tunnel. This was a wind tunnel that tested aircraft at supersonic speeds. Cutting-edge research. Czarnecki saw Mary's talent and said, "You should be an engineer, not a computer. You need to take graduate-level physics and math courses. Become an engineer officially." Mary said yes. There was one problem. The courses were only offered at Hampton High School, an all-white school. Virginia law prohibited black people from attending white schools. This was 1953. Segregation was legal. The school said, "No, you cannot attend." Mary Jackson did not accept no. She petitioned the city of Hampton. She went to court. She stood in front of a white judge and argued that she had the right to take those courses, that Virginia law was unjust, that she deserved the same education as white engineers. In 1953, Virginia, a black woman challenging segregation in court was dangerous. People got killed for less. The judge ruled in her favor. Mary Jackson became the first black woman allowed to attend classes at Hampton High School. She took the courses at night. She earned the credits. In 1958, she officially became NASA's first black female engineer. She worked at NASA for 34 years. She wrote 12 technical papers. She researched airflow and drag and thrust. She made aircraft safer and faster. She mentored young women engineers. She fought for promotions and pay raises for women and minorities. She became the most senior female engineer in her division, but she never advanced beyond that. She hit a wall. To get promoted higher, she needed a management position, but NASA would not promote her to management. Why, never officially stated. But everyone knew. She was a black woman. Management positions were for white men. In 1979, Mary made a decision. She took a demotion. She left engineering and took a lower-paying job in NASA's Equal Opportunity Office. She spent the rest of her career fighting discrimination, recruiting women and minorities, trying to make sure the next generation did not face what she faced. Mary Jackson retired in 1985. She died in 2005 at age 83. For most of her life, nobody outside NASA knew her name. No history books, no documentaries, no public recognition. She revolutionized aeronautical engineering and died in obscurity until 2016, until the movie Hidden Figures, until someone finally told her story. But by then, she had been dead for 11 years. She never saw the world learn her name. She never got her flowers while she could smell them. Dorothy Vaughan. Born September 25, 1910, in Kansas City, Missouri. Graduated from Wilberforce University in 1929 with a degree in mathematics. Became a math teacher. In 1943, she was recruited to work at NACA Langley as a human computer. Hired to help with the war effort. Temporary position. Except it was not temporary. Dorothy was assigned to the West Area Computing Unit, the segregated section for black women. In 1949, she was promoted to supervisor of West Area Computing. She became the first black supervisor at NACA. She managed a team of black women mathematicians. She advocated for them. She fought for their pay raises. She made sure they got credit for their work. But here is the thing. Her promotion was unofficial. She did the job of supervisor. She had the responsibilities of supervisor. But NASA did not give her the official title or the official pay raise. For years, she did management work at computer salary. Because she was black. Because she was a woman. Because they could exploit her, and she had no recourse. In the late 1950s, NASA started buying IBM computers. Electronic computers that could do calculations faster than humans. NASA management decided human computers were obsolete. They were going to lay off the computing divisions. Dorothy saw it coming. She knew her team was about to lose their jobs, so she taught herself computer programming. At age 48, Dorothy Vaughan learned Fortran, one of the first high-level programming languages. She learned it on her own time. She read manuals. She practiced on the IBM machines. She became an expert. And then she taught her entire team. Every woman in West Area Computing learned Fortran because Dorothy trained them. When NASA transitioned to electronic computers, Dorothy's team was ready. They became programmers. They kept their jobs. They thrived. Dorothy Vaughan became an expert in Fortran and computer programming. She worked on the Scout Launch Vehicle program. She contributed to multiple space missions. She coded software that sent satellites into orbit. She worked at NASA until 1971, 28 years of service. She retired quietly. No fanfare, no public recognition. She died in 2008 at age 98. Most of the world had no idea she existed. The first black supervisor at NASA. The woman who taught herself computer programming to save her team's jobs. The pioneer who helped NASA transition from human computers to electronic computers. Gone. Forgotten. Erased. Until 2016. Until Hidden Figures told her story. But Dorothy had been dead for 8 years. She never knew the world would finally learn what she did. Annie Easley. Born April 23, 1933 in Birmingham, Alabama. Graduated high school as valedictorian. Started college to become a pharmacist. In 1955, she read a newspaper article that said NASA Lewis Research Center in Cleveland was hiring human computers. Annie applied. She was hired. She started as a computer. She performed calculations for researchers. But Annie was curious. She wanted to understand the bigger picture. She started asking questions, learning, growing. When NASA transitioned to electronic computers, Annie learned programming. She became a computer scientist. She worked on the Centaur rocket, a high-energy upper-stage rocket that used liquid hydrogen fuel. Cutting-edge technology. Annie wrote code to simulate Centaur's performance. Her simulations helped make the Centaur successful. The Centaur rocket launched countless missions, satellites, probes, space telescopes. Annie's code made it possible. She also worked on energy research, solar power, wind power, battery technology for hybrid vehicles. She was ahead of her time, decades ahead. She contributed to technologies that would not become mainstream until the 2000s. But NASA would not let her advance. She applied for management positions. Denied. She wanted to pursue a graduate degree. NASA refused to support her. They told her she did not need more education. Just keep coding. White engineers with less experience got promoted over her, got sent to conferences, got their names on papers. Annie did the work and got nothing. She worked at NASA for 34 years, retired in 1989, died in 2011 at age 78. Almost nobody knew her name. There is no building named after her, no major award in her honor. Just a footnote in NASA history that most people never read. Gladys West, born 1930 in Sutherland, Virginia. Graduated from Virginia State College. hired by the United States Naval Proving Ground in 1956. She was the second black woman ever hired there. She was a mathematician. She programmed computers. She analyzed satellite data. For decades, Gladys worked on a project to model the shape of the Earth. She wrote algorithms to process data from satellites orbiting the planet. She created mathematical models of the Earth's geoid, the precise shape of the planet accounting for mountains and valleys and ocean depths. Her work was classified, top secret. Nobody outside the military knew what she was doing. Her calculations became the foundation for GPS, Global Positioning System, the technology that runs your phone's maps, your car's navigation, air traffic control, military operations, shipping, emergency services. All of it built on Gladys West's mathematics. She retired in 1998. For 20 years, almost nobody knew she invented GPS. People assumed it was created by white male engineers. In 2018, Gladys was inducted into the Air Force Space and Missile Pioneers Hall of Fame. She was 88 years old. Finally, the world learned her name. Finally, people understood that a black woman created the technology they use every single day. Do you see the pattern? Now Katherine Johnson calculated the moon landing, hidden for 50 years. Mary Jackson became NASA's first black female engineer, hidden for 50 years. Dorothy Vaughan pioneered computer programming at NASA, hidden for 50 years. Annie Easley wrote code for rockets and renewable energy, hidden for her entire life. Gladys West invented GPS, hidden for 60 years. Every single time a black woman revolutionized science, they erased her name. Every single time. This was not accident. This was not oversight. This was policy. This was systematic. This was deliberate. This was intentional. They needed black brilliance to win the space race. They needed black women's mathematics to beat the Soviet Union. They needed black minds because white engineers could not do it alone. But they could not let America know. They could not let the world see that black women were smarter than white men. They could not let segregation be challenged by the obvious truth that the colored bathroom users were better at math than the white bathroom users. So they used your ancestors' genius. They built trillion-dollar industries with it. They won the Cold War with it. They put men on the moon with it. They created technologies that changed the world with it. And then they buried every black name. They gave credit to white male engineers who needed Katherine to check their work. They gave medals to astronauts who refused to fly without her verification. They celebrated IBM computers that were less reliable than Dorothy's team. They named buildings after white men who managed black women doing the actual mathematics. This is not ancient history. These women died in your lifetime. Katherine Johnson died in 2020. Annie Easley died in 2011. Dorothy Vaughan died in 2008. Mary Jackson died in 2005. These are not dusty historical figures from centuries ago. These are your grandmother's generation, your mother's generation. Women who could have been at your family reunion. Women whose brilliance was stolen while they were still alive to see it. And here is the part that should make you furious. It is still happening. Right now. Today. The pattern continues. Let me show you exactly how they covered it up. How they made sure you would never know these women existed. How they erased an entire generation of black genius from history. Because understanding the mechanism of erasure is just as important as knowing the names they erased. First, institutional segregation. NASA was not some progressive oasis in the Jim Crow South. NASA was Jim Crow. They had separate offices for black women, separate bathrooms, separate cafeterias. There were literal signs that said, colored computers. West Area Computing was physically separated from the white engineering divisions. Black women were not allowed in certain buildings. They could not attend certain meetings. They could not eat in certain cafeterias. This was not subtle. This was not accidental. This was designed to keep black women invisible. If you are physically separated, you are out of sight. If you are out of sight, you are out of mind. If you are out of mind, you do not get credit. Katherine Johnson had to walk 800 meters across the NASA campus to use the bathroom. 800 meters. That is half a mile. Every time she needed to use the restroom, she had to leave her building, walk across the campus, use the colored bathroom, and walk back. This added hours to her workday. It was humiliating. It was exhausting. It was designed to remind her that she did not belong. But here is what they didn't expect. Katherine used those walks to think. She solved problems in her head while walking to the bathroom. She came back with solutions. She turned their humiliation into productivity, and that terrified them. When she demanded to attend meetings, they said women do not attend meetings. When she asked, "Is there a law?" they had no answer. Because the segregation was custom, not law. It was culture. It was understood. Black women stay in their place. But Katherine refused to stay in her place. She walked into meetings. She sat down. She asked questions. She challenged assumptions. And the white engineers could not kick her out because she was right. Her mathematics was correct. Her insights were valuable. They needed her. But they made sure her name never appeared in public. Reports were published under the names of white supervisors. Katherine did the calculations. White men signed the papers. When journalists asked who did the math, NASA pointed to the white engineers. Katherine was invisible. Second, salary discrimination. NASA paid black women a fraction of what they paid white men for the same work. In 1953, Katherine started at $2,500 a year. White male engineers doing equivalent work made $5,000 to $7,000 a year. Double, sometimes triple, for the same mathematics. Sometimes for less complex work, because Katherine was doing calculations the white engineers could not handle. Mary Jackson fought for years to get equal pay. She was an engineer. She had the title. She did the work. But NASA classified her at a lower grade than white male engineers with the same title. Lower grade meant lower pay. She filed complaints. She demanded reclassification. It took years. They dragged their feet. They made excuses. They finally gave her a raise, but it was still less than her white male colleagues. Dorothy Vaughan supervised West Area computing. She managed dozens of women. She did the job of a section head. But NASA refused to give her the official title or the official pay. For years, she did management work at computer wages. Because she was black. Because she was a woman. Because they could. Because there was no recourse. If she complained too loudly, she could be fired. So she did the work and fought quietly and took care of her team. This was not just unfair. This was theft. Wage theft. They stole hundreds of thousands of dollars from these women over their careers. Money they earned. Money they deserved. Money that was denied because of their race and gender. Third, credit theft. This is the big one. This is how they erased black women from history. They did not put their names on the work. For years, Katherine's calculations appeared in reports with no attribution. Or they appeared under her supervisor's name. White male supervisors who did not do the math, who could not do the math, who needed Katherine to do the math. But when the report was published, his name was on it. Not hers. She fought back. In the early 1960s, Katherine started demanding that her name appear on reports. She told her supervisors, "I did the work. My name goes on it." They resisted. She insisted. Eventually, they gave in. Starting in the mid-1960s, Katherine Johnson's name appeared on technical reports, not press releases, not public documents. Technical reports that only other engineers read. Her name was buried in footnotes and appendices. But it was there, a quiet rebellion, a refusal to be erased completely. But the damage was done. For a decade, her work was uncredited. And when Apollo 11 landed on the moon, when the world celebrated NASA's public relations, did not mention Katherine Johnson. They mentioned the flight director, the astronauts, the engineers, the IBM computers, not the black woman who verified the computers, not the black woman the astronauts trusted more than the machines. Fourth, educational erasure. This is how they made sure your children would never know. They removed these women from textbooks, from history books, from documentaries, from museum exhibits. For decades, students learned about the space race. They learned about Kennedy's speech, Sputnik, the Mercury 7 astronauts, Apollo 11, Neil Armstrong's first step. They learned about mission control and rocket scientists and the triumph of American ingenuity. They did not learn about Katherine Johnson. They did not learn about the black women who made it possible. History textbooks mentioned white male engineers, Wernher von Braun. The Nazi rocket scientist America gave a second chance. He got chapter mentions. Katherine Johnson got nothing. Documentaries about NASA showed footage of mission control. All white men in shirts and ties. They showed astronauts. All white men. They showed engineers. All white men. The narrative was clear. White men conquered space. White men won the space race. White men are geniuses. The black women who did the actual mathematics invisible. Hidden. Erased. This was deliberate. Textbook publishers knew these women existed. NASA had records. The women were still alive, still working, still available for interviews. But publishers chose not to include them. Producers chose not to film them. Historians chose not to write about them. Why? Because their existence contradicted the narrative. The narrative said, white men built America. White men won wars. White men innovated. Black people were laborers, helpers, service workers. Not scientists, not mathematicians, not geniuses. If students learned that black women calculated the moon landing, it would destroy that narrative. It would prove that segregation was not about capability. It was about control. It would prove that black people were not intellectually inferior. They were systematically oppressed. And those are two very different things. So they erased the evidence. They removed the women from the story. They made sure generations of students graduated without knowing that black women put men on the moon. And it worked. For 50 years, it worked. Millions of black children grew up believing STEM was not for them. Millions of black girls were told they were not good at math. Millions of brilliant minds were pushed away from science because they never saw anyone who looked like them doing science. That is not accidental. That is generational theft. They did not just steal credit from Katherine and Mary and Dorothy. They stole inspiration from every black child who could have been a scientist, but never tried because they did not know it was possible. Fifth, media suppression. When these missions happened, newspapers covered them extensively. Front page news. Apollo 11 was the biggest story of 1969. Every major newspaper in America wrote about it. Every television network broadcast it. Every magazine covered it. Not one mentioned Katherine Johnson. Not one. They interviewed astronauts. They interviewed flight directors. They interviewed engineers. They talked about the IBM computers. They showed photos of mission control. All white men. They published diagrams and explanations of the orbital mechanics. They did not say who calculated those mechanics. When John Glenn returned from orbit in 1962, Life magazine did a photo spread. John Glenn the hero. John Glenn the pioneer. Pages and pages of celebration. Zero mention of the black woman he refused to fly without. Zero mention that he trusted her more than the computers. That part of the story was inconvenient. That part challenged segregation. so they left it out. Newspapers praised NASA engineers. Opinion columns talked about American exceptionalism and superior education and the triumph of Western science. They did not mention that the calculations came from a black woman educated at a segregated college in West Virginia who was not allowed to use the same bathroom as the white engineers. This was not oversight. This was editorial choice. Journalists knew about the human computers. They knew women did the calculations. Some of them probably knew black women were involved. But they chose not to report it because it did not fit the story they wanted to tell. The story they wanted was simple. White men conquer space. White men are heroes. America is great because white men are brilliant. Adding black women to that story complicated the narrative. It raised uncomfortable questions. If black women are this smart, why are they segregated? If black women can calculate moon landings, why can they not vote in some states? Why can they not eat in the same restaurants? So the media buried it. They told a simpler story, a cleaner story, a whiter story, and Katherine Johnson became invisible. Sixth, legal and structural barriers. Jim Crow laws in Virginia lasted until 1964. That means for the first 11 years, Katherine worked at NASA. Segregation was legal, enforced by law. She could be arrested for using a white bathroom. She could be arrested for sitting in the white section of a restaurant. The state of Virginia said she was inferior by law. NASA followed Virginia law. They segregated their workforce. They created separate facilities. They paid black women less. And it was all legal. When Katherine or Mary or Dorothy complained, NASA could say, "We are following state law. If you do not like it, leave." But here is the thing. Even after the Civil Rights Act of 1964, even after segregation became illegal, the discrimination continued. It just became unofficial. No more colored computer signs. But black women still worked in separate divisions, still got paid less, still did not get promoted. Mary Jackson hit a glass ceiling. She could not advance past a certain level. Why never officially stated, never written down, just understood. Management positions are for white men. Dorothy Vaughan supervised West Area computing, but never got promoted to manage integrated teams. Annie Easley never got the promotions she deserved. The discrimination continued, but now it was unspoken, deniable. And because it was unspoken, it was harder to fight. You cannot sue for a promotion you were never officially denied. You cannot prove discrimination if they never write down the racist reason. The system just keeps saying you are not qualified, or not the right fit, or maybe next time. And you keep working and keep being brilliant and keep getting passed over. This crushed careers. This destroyed potential. How many black women could have been leaders at NASA but were blocked? How many could have been directors or division chiefs or program managers but were kept in subordinate roles their entire careers? We will never know, because the system made sure they stayed invisible. Now let me show you why this matters today. Why this is not just history. Why Katherine Johnson's stolen recognition explains the world you are living in right now. Today, in 2025, only 7% of STEM workers in America are black women. 7%. In computer science, it is worse. 3%. In engineering, 2%. 2% of engineers are black women. This is not because black women lack ability. This is because they stole your role models for 50 years. Let me break this down. Katherine Johnson was born in 1918. She started at NASA in 1953. She worked there for 33 years until 1986. For that entire time, almost nobody outside NASA knew she existed. She calculated the moon landing in 1969. The world did not learn her name until 2016. That is 47 years of silence. 47 years where black girls grew up not knowing a black woman put men on the moon. Think about what that means. A girl born in 1970 graduated high school in 1988. She chose her college major without knowing Katherine Johnson existed. If she liked math, her teachers probably said math is hard for girls. Her guidance counselor probably steered her toward teaching or nursing. Nobody told her that a black woman calculated Apollo 11. Nobody showed her that a black woman was trusted more than IBM computers. So she probably did not choose engineering. Why would she? She never saw anyone who looked like her doing it. That girl is 55 years old today. She could have been a NASA engineer. She could have been a mathematician. She could have designed rockets or satellites or space stations. But she never tried because nobody told her it was possible. That is one lost scientist. Multiply that by millions. Millions of black girls over 5 decades who never pursued STEM because they did not know Katherine Johnson existed. That is not accidental. That is theft. They did not just steal Katherine's credit. They stole generations of potential. They stole the scientists who would have been inspired by her. They stole the engineers who would have followed her path. They stole the mathematicians who would have seen her and said, I can do that too. And now they ask, why are there so few black women in STEM? They study the achievement gap. They write reports about diversity. They create programs to encourage girls to study science. But they never acknowledge the root cause. You hid the role models. You erased the proof that black women could excel in STEM. You spent 50 years telling black girls that science is not for them. And now you wonder why they believe you. Here is what happens when you do tell the story. In 2016, the movie Hidden Figures came out. Suddenly, millions of people learned about Katherine Johnson. They learned about Mary Jackson and Dorothy Vaughan. They saw black women doing advanced mathematics. They saw astronauts trusting black women over computers. They saw brilliance that had been hidden. The next year, 2017 applications from black women to STEM programs increased 30%. 30% in 1 year. Because representation matters. Because when black girls see Katherine Johnson, they think, I can do that. When they see Mary Jackson fight to become an engineer, they think, I can fight too. When they see Dorothy Vaughan teach herself programming at 48, they think it is never too late. One movie, one story finally told. 30% increase. Imagine if they had told the story in 1969. Imagine if every black girl graduating high school in the 1970s knew about Katherine Johnson. Imagine if textbooks in the 1980s included Mary Jackson. Imagine if computer science classes in the 1990s taught about Dorothy Vaughan. How many more black women would be scientists today? How many more engineers? How many more innovations would exist? We will never know. Because they stole that future. They buried the story until most of these women were dead. Until it was safe. Until telling their story would not threaten anything. Now let us talk about money. The wage gap. Today, black women earn 63 cents for every dollar white men earn. In STEM fields, it is slightly better. 89 cents per dollar. But it is still theft. Still systematic underpayment for the same work. This is not new. This is the same pattern from 1953. Katherine Johnson did the work of an engineer, but got paid as a computer. Half the salary. Mary Jackson had the same title as white male engineers, but was classified at a lower grade. Lower pay. Dorothy Vaughan did the job of section head, but didn't get the title or the salary. For 33 years, NASA underpaid Katherine Johnson. If she had been paid the same as white male engineers doing equivalent work, she would have earned hundreds of thousands of dollars more over her career. That is wealth that should have gone to her family, her children, her grandchildren. Generational wealth that was stolen. Multiply that by every black woman at NASA. Multiply that by every black woman in STEM over the last 70 years. We are talking about billions of dollars in stolen wages. Billions. And that does not even count the promotions they were denied, the leadership positions they should have held, the raises they deserved but never got. This explains the wealth gap. Black families have 10 cents of wealth for every dollar of white family wealth. 10 cents. People say it is because black people do not work hard enough. That is a lie. Katherine Johnson worked harder than anyone at NASA. She was more accurate than the computers. She was trusted by astronauts, and she was paid half as much as mediocre white engineers. The wealth gap exists because they stole your labor. They stole your wages. They stole your promotions. They stole your credit for generations. And they called it merit. They called it qualifications. They called it the market. But it was theft, systematic, legal, normalized. But theft, and here is the part that should make you furious, it is still happening. Right now, black women scientists publish research and get cited less than white men publishing the same quality work. 40% less citations. That means less recognition, less career advancement, less funding for future research. Black women get excluded from author lists on papers they contributed to. The work gets published. Their names are missing. White colleagues take credit. This is exactly what happened to Katherine in the 1950s. Same pattern, different decade. Still theft. Black women in tech companies get paid less than white men in the same roles. They get promoted slower. They get assigned less visible projects. They get interrupted in meetings. They get their ideas ignored until a white man says the same thing. This is not paranoia. This is documented. This is measured. This is real. And when black women speak up, they get labeled as difficult, aggressive, not a team player. The same way Katherine was seen as pushy for demanding her name on reports. The same way Mary was seen as troublemaker for fighting segregation. Speak up for yourself and you get punished. The system has not changed. It has just gotten quieter, more polite, harder to prove. But the outcome is the same. Black women do the work. Other people get the credit. Black women generate the value. Other people get the wealth. Let me tell you about a woman you probably never heard of. Dr. Hadiya Nicole Green. She is a physicist. She developed a treatment for cancer using laser-activated nanoparticles. Targeted cancer treatment that kills tumors without harming healthy tissue. Revolutionary research. She is one of 66 black women in America to earn a PhD in physics. 66 in the entire country. How many people know her name? Almost nobody. But people know the names of white male tech entrepreneurs who invented apps. People know cryptocurrency billionaires. People know venture capitalists. But a black woman who might cure cancer invisible. This is the legacy of hiding Katherine Johnson. If you can hide the woman who calculated the moon landing, you can hide anyone. If you can erase Mary Jackson, the first black female engineer at NASA, you can erase any achievement. The pattern continues because we let it continue. Because we accepted the lie that black women are not doing important work. When the truth is, black women have always done the most important work and been erased for it. Here is what you need to understand. Every time they told you STEM is not for black people, they were lying to protect their own mediocrity. Because if people knew the truth, if people knew that Katherine Johnson was better than the white engineers, that Dorothy Vaughan taught herself programming faster than people half her age, that Mary Jackson fought the legal system and won, then the myth of white intellectual superiority collapses. The entire justification for segregation was that black people were mentally inferior, that they needed white guidance, that they could not handle complex work. Katherine Johnson destroyed that lie. She proved that a black woman educated at a segregated college was smarter than white men educated at MIT. She proved it every single day for 33 years. and they could not let that truth spread. Because if it did, if America knew that black women were calculating moon landings, then what justification is there for keeping them in separate bathrooms, for paying them half as much, for excluding them from leadership? There is no justification. It was always about power, always about control, never about capability. And that is why your daughter needs to know Katherine Johnson's story. Not just to inspire her, but to arm her, to give her the truth as a weapon against the lies she will face. When someone tells her she is not good at math, she can say Katherine Johnson calculated the moon landing. When someone says black women do not belong in STEM, she can say Mary Jackson was NASA's first black female engineer. When someone says she should wait her turn and be patient, she can say Dorothy Vaughan taught herself programming at 48 and saved her entire team. These stories are not just inspiration. They are ammunition. They are proof. They are the receipts. And your daughter deserves to have them. Now let me tell you who you really are. Because everything they taught you about yourself was a lie designed to keep you small. You are not disadvantaged. You are not behind. You are not lacking. You are descendants of Katherine Johnson. You are heirs to a legacy of genius that they tried to bury for 50 years and failed. Listen to me carefully. Your great-grandmother's generation sent human beings to the moon while being forced to use separate bathrooms. They revolutionized computer science while being paid half as much as their white colleagues. They saved astronauts' lives while being banned from meetings. They did not do this because they were lucky. They did not do this because white people were generous. They did this because they were brilliant. Supernaturally brilliant. Katherine Johnson calculated orbital mechanics by hand that the best IBM computers in 1962 could not match. Let that sink in. Her brain with a pencil and paper and a slide rule was more accurate than $1 million machine. That is not normal intelligence. That is genius. That is excellence. That is the DNA you carry. You are not victims of a system that holds you back. You are survivors of a system that tried to destroy you and failed. They segregated your grandmothers, and your grandmothers still became the most trusted mathematicians at NASA. They underpaid your great-aunts, and your great-aunts still revolutionized aeronautical engineering. They erased their names from history, and we are here right now, saying their names out loud. They lost. Every time they told you that you are not smart enough, they were lying. Because they know the truth. They know that when Katherine Johnson was in the room, she was the smartest person there. They know that John Glenn trusted her over everyone else. They know that for 33 years, NASA relied on a black woman's brain to keep astronauts alive. They know, and they are terrified that you will figure it out. Because if you figure out that your ancestors were geniuses, if you figure out that the achievement gap is a lie, if you figure out that you have been systematically robbed of credit and wealth and recognition, then you will demand what is owed. And they cannot afford to pay what they owe. So they keep lying. They keep hiding the stories. They keep telling your children that STEM is hard, that maybe they should try something else, that not everyone is cut out for science. And what they really mean is we cannot handle more Katherine Johnsons. We cannot handle more black women who are better than our machines. We cannot handle the truth getting out. But the truth is out. You know it now. Katherine Johnson was a genius. Mary Jackson was a pioneer. Dorothy Vaughan was a visionary. Annie Easley was an innovator. Gladys West changed the world. And they all did it while being told they were inferior. You carry that same strength, that same brilliance, that same refusal to accept limitations. It is in your DNA. It is in your legacy. It is your inheritance. And here is what they didn't count on. They thought if they hid these women long enough, the stories would die. But God preserved Katherine Johnson for 101 years. 101. She lived long enough to see hidden figures. She lived long enough to see her name on a NASA building. She lived long enough to receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom. She lived long enough for your daughters to learn her name. That is not coincidence. That is divine intervention. God kept her alive so the erasure could not be complete. So this generation would know the truth. So you would know where you come from. So you would know what you are capable of. Katherine was born in 1918. She died in 2020. She lived through the Spanish flu pandemic. She lived through Jim Crow. She lived through World War II. She lived through segregation. She lived through the Civil Rights Movement. She lived through the assassination of Martin Luther King. She lived through the moon landing that she made possible. She lived through the fall of the Soviet Union. She lived through 9/11. She lived to see the first black president. She lived to see her story told in a major motion picture. She lived to see young black girls say, "I want to be like Katherine Johnson." God let her see the vindication. He let her see the truth come to light. He let her die, knowing that she would not be forgotten, that her name would live on, that her legacy would inspire generations. And if God did that for Katherine, what is He doing for you? Why did He make sure you found this video today? Why did He make sure you heard this story? Because you have an assignment. You have a purpose. You are part of the generation that refuses to let them erase us again. Your assignment is to know this history, to teach your children, to tell your family, to share this truth everywhere you go. Do not let Katherine Johnson be hidden again. Do not let Mary Jackson be forgotten again. Do not let Dorothy Vaughan fade into obscurity again. Your assignment is to excel, to pursue STEM if that is your calling, to walk into rooms you were not invited to just like Katherine did, to demand your name on your work just like Katherine did, to refuse to accept no for an answer just like Mary did, to teach yourself new skills just like Dorothy did, to be so undeniably excellent that they have to recognize you. Your assignment is to demand what is owed, not just recognition, reparations, because they stole trillions of dollars of black labor and black genius and black innovation. They built industries on your ancestors' backs and gave them nothing. Katherine Johnson deserved to be a millionaire. She calculated the most important space missions in history. She should have been wealthy. She should have been celebrated from day one. She should have been in textbooks in 1969. But she was not. That is theft. And theft requires restitution. Your assignment is to raise children who know they are brilliant, who know they come from brilliance, who know that when someone says you are not smart enough, that person is lying to protect their own mediocrity. Raise children who say, "My great-great-aunt's generation put men on the moon." Raise children who refuse to be small. Katherine Johnson said, "I counted everything. I counted the steps to the road, the steps up to church, the number of dishes and silverware I washed. Anything that could be counted, I did." She counted the stars, and then she calculated how to reach them. She proved that a black girl from West Virginia could touch infinity with her mind. She proved that brilliance has no color. She proved that excellence does not ask for permission. You are her legacy. You are her continuation. You are the reason God kept her alive for 101 years. So you would know. So you would rise. So you would refuse to be hidden. If Katherine could calculate moon trajectories while walking half a mile to use a colored bathroom, what can you do with the freedom she fought for? If Dorothy could teach herself programming at age 48 to save her team, what can you learn right now? If Mary could sue the state of Virginia to take engineering classes and win, what barriers can you shatter? They tried to bury your ancestors, but they made a mistake. They buried seeds. And now we are the harvest. Now we are the generation that knows the truth. Now we are the generation that refuses to stay silent. You are not disadvantaged. You are dangerous. Dangerous to lies. Dangerous to systems built on erasure. Dangerous to people who need you to believe you are less than. Because the moment you realize you come from Katherine Johnson, the moment you realize your DNA carries the same genius that put men on the moon, you become unstoppable. And that terrifies them, as it should. Now here is what I need you to do. If you made it this far, this is not random. God put this video in your path today for a reason. You were meant to hear this. You were meant to know Katherine's story. You were meant to be awakened to your own power. First, subscribe to this channel. Right now. We are bringing back hundreds more stories just like this. The black woman who invented home security systems. The black man who designed the blueprint for Washington, D.C. The black scientist whose research saved millions of lives. All of them erased. All of them hidden. We are exposing every single one. Do not miss them. Second comment. Hidden no more below. Let me see how many of you are ready to make sure these stories never get buried again. Let me see who is committed to passing this truth to the next generation. Comment, hidden no more. Third, share this video. Right now. Do not wait. Share it with your daughter, your niece, your granddaughter, your son, your nephew, your church, your book club, your family reunion. Every black child needs to know Katherine Johnson's name. Every black girl needs to know she comes from genius. Every black boy needs to know his sisters and mothers and aunts are brilliant. Share it. And share it with people who do not look like you too. Because everybody needs to know this truth. White people need to know they were lied to. They were told white men built everything. They were told black people were inferior. They need to know that was propaganda. They need to know that a black woman put men on the moon. Because truth sets everyone free. Lies imprison everyone. This is not about division. This is about truth. This is not about revenge. This is about recognition. This is not about tearing anyone down. This is about lifting up what was buried. Katherine Johnson did not hate white people. She worked with them. She taught them. She saved their lives. But she refused to be erased. She demanded credit. She demanded respect. She demanded her name on her work. And that is what we are doing. We are demanding that history tell the truth. So share this everywhere. Make sure every school knows, every teacher, every parent, every child. Katherine Johnson calculated the moon landing. Mary Jackson was NASA's first black female engineer. Dorothy Vaughan pioneered computer programming. Annie Easley wrote code for rockets. Gladys West invented GPS. Say their names. Remember their names. Teach their names. Do not let them be hidden again. You are the keeper of this truth now. You are responsible for making sure the next generation knows. Do not let this die with you. Pass it forward. Now let us pray. Bow your heads with me. Father God, we thank you for Katherine Coleman Goebel Johnson. We thank you for preserving her for 101 years, so we could know her story. We thank you that she lived long enough to be honored to be recognized, to see her name on a NASA building, to know that she would not be forgotten. We thank you for her brilliance, for her courage, for her refusal to stay in the box they built for her, for walking into rooms she was not invited to, for demanding her name on the work she did, for being more accurate than the machines they said were better than her, for proving that a black woman from segregated West Virginia could calculate the path to the moon. Lord, we grieve the 50 years she was hidden. We grieve the generations of black girls who did not know they could be scientists, because Katherine's story was buried. We grieve Mary Jackson and Dorothy Vaughan and Annie Easley and Gladys West and the thousands of hidden figures whose names we will never know because they died before the truth came out. But we thank you that truth always rises, that erasure is never permanent, that what was hidden in darkness is now being shouted from the rooftops, that Katherine's name is now known around the world, that little black girls are watching videos about her right now and saying, "I want to be like her." We pray for every black girl watching this video. Give her the spirit of Katherine Johnson. Give her the courage to walk into spaces that do not welcome her. Give her the boldness to demand her name on her work. Give her the confidence to know that her brain is a gift from God, not a burden. Give her the strength to refuse limits. Give her the vision to see herself calculating moon landings and curing diseases and designing spacecraft and changing the world. We pray for every black boy watching. Open his eyes to the brilliance of his sisters and mothers and aunts. Teach him to honor black women. Teach him to fight for black women. Teach him to amplify black women. Teach him that Katherine Johnson saved astronauts' lives, and he comes from that same strength. We pray for justice, Lord, that every black scientist who was erased would be remembered, that every contribution that was stolen would be acknowledged, that every name that was hidden would be restored. We pray for reparations, for restitution, for what was stolen to be returned with interest, for wages that were denied, for promotions that were blocked, for wealth that was taken. We pray that you would vindicate your people, that you would restore what the enemy stole. We pray for the next generation, that they would know their history, that they would claim their inheritance, that they would excel in STEM, that they would shatter every glass ceiling, that they would be hidden no more, that they would walk in the fullness of who you created them to be, that they would carry Katherine's legacy forward into the future. Give us Katherine's persistence, her excellence, her refusal to be erased, her faith that the truth would prevail. Help us to count everything like she did, to calculate paths to impossible places, to trust our own minds even when systems tell us we are wrong, to demand recognition, to refuse invisibility. We declare that what was hidden is now revealed. What was buried is now resurrected. What was stolen is now being reclaimed. The truth is marching forward, and nothing can stop it. In Jesus' name, who said the truth will set you free, who said nothing is hidden that will not be made known, who vindicates the oppressed and lifts up the humble, amen. Katherine Johnson said, "We will always have STEM with us. Some things will drop out of the public eye and will go away, but there will always be science, engineering, and technology. And there will always, always be mathematics." She was telling you that this is your field. This is your inheritance. This belongs to you. Do not let anyone tell you STEM is not for you. Do not let anyone tell you math is too hard. Do not let anyone tell you to aim lower. You are built for this. Mathematically, scientifically, divinely. You come from the woman who calculated the moon landing with a pencil. You come from the woman astronauts trusted more than computers. You come from the woman who refused to be erased even when they tried for 50 years. That strength is in you. That brilliance is in you. That refusal to accept limits is in you. Walk in it. Excel in it. Demand recognition for it. Pass it to your children. Make sure the world knows. Katherine Johnson was hidden for 50 years. You will hide her no more. God bless you. Stay brilliant. Stay bold. Stay free. Hidden no more.